Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here. Back again with another video. So you guys see the title of this video. You see the thumbnail. This video is about K9, as many Charger fans know him. This is one of the guys that I kind of refuse to give up on. I know a lot of people, Charger fans in particular, are down on him, and I just refuse to give up on him. And I may be impartial here. Just like I've stated before, I am a college football junkie, so I did watch a lot of Kenneth Murray in college at Oklahoma. He was explosive, and most games he was the best player on the field, right? In offense, defense, whatever. Clearly the best athlete on the field a lot. A good majority of the time that he was playing, he was the best athlete on the field at linebacker. And, so I seen some really, really amazing linebacker play out of Kenneth Murray. And I refuse to give up on him, right? Not just as a Charger fan, but just as a football fan in general. I think he has a lot to bring. But obviously his, this first 2 years in the league has not turned out the way that he has hoped. But I think he still has a lot to bring to the table. Now, obviously, everybody knows you should know by now that he has started camp on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. That's not a huge surprise. He did have the ankle surgery. I think it was during the off season, and it was early in the off season. And he did have a pretty bad ankle injury last year, and he didn't get it. He wasn't operated on during the season, and he thought that. He had an Instagram post about this, and I guess he thought he was healed, and things didn't look right, so he ended up having to have surgery in the off season to correct the issue, and I think it was like a ligament issue or something like that. So that is a very it's one of those tricky injuries, right? Your ankle. I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really is, right? That's pretty much one of your wheels. So if you have a bad wheel, especially if you're playing linebacker, if you're playing middle linebacker where you stick your foot in the ground, you retreat, you come forward at a very, very fast rate of speed. If you have a bad wheel, you're not going to be able to be effective. And, so it's not a surprise that Kenneth Murray has started on the PUP list. But I do think this year for him, year 3 is very crucial. I think he is going to have to, and regardless of health, right? Regardless of, when he actually does take the field in the regular season, he's going to have to show something this year. Now, he was a first-round pick, right? A lot of people don't remember that, 2020 draft, right? The Chargers, they select Justin Herbert first, and, they ended up trading with the New England Patriots to get back up in the first round to take Kenneth Murray. Now, at the time, I was excited because, again, I watched a lot of college football. I watched this guy dominate week in and week out on, pretty much every Saturday. So I was very excited for Kenneth Murray to be coming to the Chargers. Now, again, his first 2 seasons has not started out the way that he has wanted it to. His rookie year, he did end up getting better as the season went on. He started off a little slow. I think he was just trying to adjust to the NFL style of play. And, if everybody remembers, it was a COVID year as well, too. So he didn't participate in any training camp. They were just, getting mental reps in over Zoom. And that's pretty much what the extent of the training camp was in 2020. So he didn't have a training camp. So it took him a while to get out there and get used to, the way things are done in the NFL. But he got better as the season progressed, and he ended up with, having a pretty good year. He started all 16 games. He compiled 107 tackles and 5 tackles for losses. So those are pretty good numbers for a rookie linebacker. I was definitely impressed with that. Those are good numbers, and, those are, really nothing to spit at, as far as numbers go for a linebacker. And, as far as the other part of the game that, numbers really can't define, when you watch the game, he was making an impact. He was coming up, he was making tackles for losses. He had a couple of pass breakups as well too. He was very physical, and he made his presence felt in the middle of the field, where he was patrolling. Now, last season was not a great year by any stretch at all. he only played 11 games. He only started 6 of them. He only had 31 tackles last year, 2 tackles for losses. And, I think the thing with Kenneth Murray, I think the injury, obviously, right? The injury is going to slow down whatever progression you have, towards getting better, right? Towards being a better player in the NFL. Obviously, injuries is the number one thing that'll stop you. I think the other thing, though, was the complete overhaul of the defense, right? He gets drafted in 2020. He, doesn't have a training camp, but he comes in playing Gus Bradley's defense, which is very simplified, right? It is a pretty much the Seattle defense, the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl defense, right? The cover 3 scheme. Things were very simple. And, as far as the reads and things like that, there wasn't a lot to it, right? He can just put his foot in the ground and make plays. Now, Brandon Staley's defense is a lot more complex. It's a little more difficult. And, there are a lot of different looks that the defense gives. There's a lot of different, things that he has to do, right? And him being the middle linebacker, he has to be able to put guys in place, right? He has to be able to make sure that the defensive linemen are in the right place where they should be. If a guy's in the zero technique and he's not in zero, he's got to slide a guy over. He's got to make sure the ends are in the right place where they need to be. And he's got to make sure that the secondary guys also get the call as well, too. So he had a lot of responsibility as a linebacker, and I think that's part of the reason why Derwin James wore the green dot on his helmet last year. He was the signal caller last year because Kenneth Murray, I think he struggled picking that up, and it showed, right? Because the middle linebacker almost always is the guy who is the signal caller, right? Unless that middle linebacker goes down with an injury, then you have somebody else calling the plays. But the signal caller is normally the linebacker from that linebacker position, normally for most teams. And the fact that he was not the signal caller last year lets me know that he really didn't pick up the defense the way that he should have. Now, again, if you mix, a complete scheme overhaul mixed with an injury, then you're not going to have a good season. But I think it was a little alarming that he only had 31 tackles last year. Again, that lets you know that he was not comfortable in this defense. He really didn't know what to do as far as just the little things are concerned, right? The little nuances of the game, the little nuances of Brandon Staley's scheme. He really wasn't sure about what to do. This is why he only had 31 tackles, right? And the aggression really wasn't there. Especially from that linebacker position, you don't know if a guy knows the defense by how aggressively he plays, right? You look at a Darius Leonard in Indy. He goes out and he puts his head down. He makes a bunch of plays because he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knows where he needs to be. He knows where he needs to line other guys up, and he knows all of this stuff. He knows the ins and outs of the defense. So he's able to play with his head down pretty much and just go out there, knock guys around and make plays. I think once Kenneth Murray gets more familiar with this defense, and I think that's probably his big thing in the offseason, this past offseason, was learning the defense, right? Learning the defense, learning what you need to check into if an offense comes out in something that you haven't seen, or just checking into maybe a another coverage that you're prepared to check into, learn the defensive scheme. So I think that is what hopefully Kenneth Murray, I'm hoping that's what he did this offseason, because this guy has all of the physical tools to not just be a great player, but he's got all the physical tools to be a Hall of Fame type player. He's got everything in the bag. He is big, he's strong, he's fast, he's able to tackle, he's able to rush the passer as well too. And then he can also cover, especially in the middle of the field, right? As long as he's not covering deep down in the middle of the field, he's got the ability to cover within 10 to 12 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's got great closing speed. He's got all of the tools, all of the physical tools that you need to be a great linebacker in this league, in this era, in this passing era. And he's got the rare, he's got the rare size with it as well too. You really don't. A lot of these linebackers are a little light. He's about 245-ish or whatever it is. So he is a big guy, but he's fast. He's athletic, and he's got all the tools. But I think he just has to focus on learning this defense, right? Learning this defense, knowing it like the back of his hand. Whenever he comes back, off the PUP list, right? And I'm assuming that he didn't pass the physical to get him clear to practice and things like that. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know for sure, but whenever he does come back, I hope that he has a good understanding of this defense, because things are going to be moving very fast this year. There's a lot more talent on this defense than there was last year, and guys are going to be going out there and just playing, and I think for him to be able to blend in with this defense, for him to be able to put his foot in the ground, come up and make plays, he needs to understand what he needs to do. He needs to understand where he needs to be on third downs, during the first downs, trying to stop the run, what his assignments are in pass coverage and things like that. He has to understand that. And I think once he understands the defense, then you're going to see more of Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray, more so than you've seen, in the past couple of seasons. I just think he needs to be comfortable. He seems like he's not comfortable with the defense, and this is going to be his second year in the Brandon Staley defensive scheme. So he should have a much better understanding of what he needs to do, and he should be able to make more plays this year. And I'm not going to really judge him on numbers, so to speak, just because I know that he is still on the PUP list, right? And there's a lot of guys who stay on the PUP list until week 5 or 6 or whatever it is. So I don't know when he is going to come back. So I don't think it's fair to judge him on numbers to say, if he has less than 100 tackles, then he didn't have a good year. No, I really don't think it's that. I think it's the impact. What does he do? If I want to see him out there, pre-snap, lining guys up and getting them into the position that they need to be in. I want to see him out there barking at guys a little bit. I want to see him, exude a little bit more leadership in the middle of the field as well, too. I know Derwin James is the guy who calls the plays now. I get it, and I understand that, and I think it's probably going to stay like that as of right now. But coming back with Kenneth Murray, I eventually want to see him calling plays. I want to see him doing what middle linebackers do. They call plays. They're, in the huddle. They're barking at guys. They're getting guys in the spots they need to be in, right? A la Ray Lewis, Bobby Wagner, and any other great middle linebacker you can think of. Those are the guys that do that. So I want to see Kenneth Murray do more of that. And I think the Chargers are invested in that as well, too. Now, I don't think that he is a cut candidate. I don't think the Chargers trade him or anything like that. I don't think that they have given up on him yet. And I hope not. He was a first-round pick, so, especially when you talk about contract extensions, you talk about Herbert being eligible for a contract extension next year. So that means Kenneth Murray will be too. Now, obviously, I don't think he's going to get that because he has not proven that he is, the first-round type of talent that the Chargers drafted. He hasn't proven that yet. But the thing is, with the first-round pick, you have that 5th year. So he's going to have that 5th-year option. So it's not that he can take his time, but I think the Chargers are not really in a rush to get him on the field, especially if he's not healthy. They're not in a rush to get him on the field just so he can prove that he is a good NFL player. I don't think that he's at that point. And the Chargers are not at that point either. And I'm glad that they're not, because it would be a shame for them to rush him into action, this season, and, for him to end up getting hurt again and have an even more serious leg injury, ankle injury, foot injury, whatever it is. It would be a shame if that happened. So I'm glad that he is on PUP right now. But like I said, hopefully he is getting his mental reps in. I want to see him dominate the playbook. Before he can go out there and dominate on the field, he's got to dominate the playbook. He's got to know exactly what to do. And I want to see him just prepare better. And, if he does that, then the results will show up. The results will definitely show up. The linebackers, the middle linebackers, outside linebackers, they're going to have a lot of opportunity this year to make a lot of plays. I believe the Chargers' run defense is going to be so much better than it was last year. It might be worse, might go from worst to first this year. There's a chance, there's a real possibility that can happen. So if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of plays for linebackers to make, right? The defensive linemen, they're going to be eating up blocks. They're going to be eating up, going to be two-gapping. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for linebackers to come up, make tackles for losses, possibly get some forced fumbles. A lot of opportunity for linebackers to make a name for themselves, and rack up a lot of tackles and stuff like that. So I hope that he is able to be a beneficiary of that this year. But number one thing, he has to be healthy. and hopefully his ankle is fully healed. If it's not fully healed, then hopefully it's close to it, maybe 85, 90%, whatever. So hopefully he can be able to, jump in there, during the regular season, make plays, and, establish himself as a starter. And I think that's the first thing that he needs to do: establish himself as a starter. He didn't start 4 or 5 games last year. He came off the bench, and I think they even switched him to pass rusher last year too. So it was just all out of sorts for him last year. So, but I expect for him to have a good bounce back season. Again, numbers are not what's important for me. I want to watch the game. I want to see his impact. I want to see his leadership. I want to see his tenacity. That was something that he had at Oklahoma. He would come up and hit guys, and you felt his tenacity through the screen. That's something that I want to feel this year. I want to see him come up and knock some people out, right? Not literally, but I want to see him come up and just have some aggression, right? Take all of his frustration out on whoever it is that has the ball, right? Come up, try to dislodge somebody from the ball, try to force some fumbles. Just be aggressive. Just really, really, really just, come up and show what you can do, right? Show that you are still this guy that you were in college, and, just have a good season, and hopefully stay healthy. So this is going to be a crucial year for Kenneth Murray. Very, very crucial. Again, I hope that he's healthy, and I hope that he can come in and make an impact. Because if he doesn't this year, then, as far as the future goes, I really don't know what happens with him. I don't know what the Chargers decide to do. Again, money is going to get tight. Money is going to, it's not going to dry up, but money's going to get tight, right? Herbert's up. Derwin James is on the cusp of getting a new contract. Rashawn Slater's going to be, coming up in a couple of years. So the money is going to get a little tighter. So I think he has to really, he's got to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, I am going to be a guy that the Chargers need, right? Not just the Chargers want, that they hope that he can play or whatever. I think he needs to say, I need to be a guy that the Chargers need. And hopefully he can come out and show that. I really, really hope that he can. He's like I said, he's very talented. He's very physically gifted. Probably one of the most physically gifted linebackers in all of football. But he's got to show it. He's got to put it together and show it. And hopefully he will get it together. Like I said, I'm not giving up on him. I think he's too talented of a guy to just cast off right now at this point. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to step up and, do what he needs to do. But I hope he does. Really, 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 really hope he does. Because I really like him. I think he's talented, and I think he can make a difference on this defense. So, it really is all up to him. The ball is in his court at this point now, especially when he comes off PUP. He's got to show it. He's definitely got to show it. But that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. Camp is underway. Stories are coming out, and there is a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz around the Chargers. I will continue to cover some of these stories. I'm also going to get into who I think should make the team. I'm going to make a few videos about some cut candidates who I think are kind of obvious for the Chargers at this point right now. So yeah, I will have a lot more content coming out very, very soon. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for all the engagement, all the likes, all the comments. It is much, much appreciated, and it's really helping me out. So again, thank you guys. But until tomorrow, I will see you later.